I 21 have an older brother Dave, fake name, that has always been a jerk to me. There's only a 1 year gap between us, but he liked to beat me up when we were kids, and he always acted like anything that was mine was also his. He was also somewhat the golden child, which made me miserable. So no surprise I moved out at 18. My uncle is a now retired police officer, and he took me in after I left home. He even hooked me up with a decommissioned Crown Vic. I don't know why, but Dave hated the fact I had that car. He drove 3 beater cars into the ground while my Crown Vic kept chugging along. Well, after his third beater finally died when he drove it into a pole, he asked to borrow my car. I had a bad feeling and said I wasn't gonna do that. He called me entitled and said he needed a car to get to work. I told him to take the bus because I know how he drives and my Crown Vic was off limits. My parents called me after that and told me to just lend him my car. I said I won't no matter what they say. I rely on the car and need it as well since it's my personal transportation. Dave was the only one in the world with a job he needed to get to. My uncle congratulated me for standing up to them and gave me a high five. A few days later when I got off work the car wasn't where I parked it. I called my brother's cell, but he didn't pick up. Then I called my parents and asked them if he took my car. They denied it, so I said I was gonna call the cops, and then they admitted he'd borrowed it because he needed it. I told them he better bring it back right now or I'll have police looking for him. They called me a jerk and then phoned Dave to bring my car back. He showed back up in the parking lot in my car 20 minutes later. I demanded to know how he stole my car, and he held up a set of police Crown Vic keys he'd bought online. Some were made universal. I told him if he ever stole my car again, I'd have him arrested. Then he had the audacity to ask for a ride home. I told him he made me wait in the December cold after stealing my car, so he could walk. He called me a jack before I drove away. After that my uncle installed a tracking device in the car. When Christmas Day came I was celebrating with family like every year. The roads were cold and icy, so I had to be very careful while driving. By now you're probably clued in on the title. Yeah, Dave borrowed my car again during the Christmas party. Apparently he decided he was gonna go pick up a friend and figured I wouldn't notice. But I did when I looked out the front window and saw my car was missing. I pulled up the tracking app and saw he was a few miles away. Then called his cell to yell at him. Everyone in the party saw this and asked what was going on. I said Dave stole my car again, and my uncle confirmed it wasn't the first time. Dave told me over the phone to screw off and he'd be back soon. I said he better not have been drinking, but he just hung up on me. Well, while I was watching the tracker app the dot stopped and didn't move for a while. Soon we got a panicked call from Dave asking for help. Had crashed the car because he couldn't handle the icy roads and he wasn't used to a rear-wheel drive vehicle. So we piled in my parents' minivan and followed the tracker. We found Dave by the road and my Crown Vic nose deep in a snow-filled ditch. My uncle was furious as it was formerly a car of his department, and I was mad as hell at Dave for stealing my car again. My parents wanted me to let it go, but I said enough was enough and was gonna call police. Dave begged me not to because he really had been drinking before he set off and would get a DUI. I said he was gonna pay me back for my damn car then or I'd sue him. Well, as luck would have it, police were already aware of the accident and were driving in to check on the scene. Someone else had called them, I guess. My parents tried to say that I was the one driving the car and they were just there to help me. I said that wasn't true, and my uncle backed me up. In fact, one of the cops that was there recognized my uncle and they had a chat. Then they went to Dave and asked to see his license, which I then found out was suspended after had crashed his previous car. Then they breath tested him. He wound up with cuffs slapped in his wrists while my mother was crying and begging the police not to take him away. But the officer just said that she and my dad could get arrested for lying to police. That shut my parents up, and we got back in the minivan. The Christmas party was ended early and my parents drove me and my uncle home since he rode with me. They didn't say much to either of us the whole drive, and just sped away as soon as we were out of their van. They nearly slipped off the road themselves doing that. Brother was let out of jail the next day, and he looked so scared that he was practically crying. The cops that had roughed him up a bit while talking about prison and that they'd seen go on there. Dave had actually pissed himself during that and they let him take a shower. That's when my uncle started cracking up and revealed to us that his friends in the department never filed the DUI and just the charge for the suspended license, which was about a $600 fine. My uncle said he just wanted to teach Dave a lesson, and this would be the one and only time he'd ever get his help. Dave then apologized to me and said he'd pay to have my Crown Vic fixed and would never touch it again. When it got pulled out of the ditch, the front end damage was actually minor. It needs a new front bumper, a headlight, and a grille. The damage was just superficial, thankfully. My parents have pretty much glossed over the whole incident and act like it didn't happen. Dave gave me the extra Crown Vic keys he'd bought online and said this has taught him a lesson he won't soon forget. Edit. Okay guys, I'm kinda tired of so many griping about how my uncle broke the law by keeping my brother's DUI from ever being filed. I did not consent to that. I did not want him to do it. But by the time I found out, it was already done. My uncle isn't a bad person. He was actually a great cop that believed in people getting second chances. And he was thanked for that many times. Last year I saw a random man recognize my uncle and thank him for putting him on the straight and narrow some years ago. I won't deny the cover-up of the DUI by the department was wrong. And I have no idea how they did it, but it's already done. I no longer care about that. My brother willingly paid in full for the repairs to my car. And is keeping out of trouble. I know he could have hurt or killed someone. That much is obvious. But he didn't. My parents should have been arrested for lying to police too. But they weren't. But my father was arrested later anyway because he attacked a man after being called out as a narcissist. And now that situation is what is currently going on. What happened with my brother is basically done now. My father trying to cave a man's face in it say is far more important at the moment than something that happened weeks ago. I've already heard it all in the comments about police corruption, needing to get my car rekied or have the locks changed, or several other measures. I plan to have the locks changed or rekied when I can afford it. But I currently can't afford it, so in the meantime I'm getting a kill switch and a steering wheel club. Yeah, I'm already low contact with my parents. I'm sure their enabling will rebound on them one day, but for now I've made it clear I will not lie for them. See if you can get a locksmith specialized with cars, and get a different ignition installed. Don't believe whatever he promised you. The uncle sounds great except he too is enabling Dave by getting him out of a DUI, has likely going to reoffend. Uncle is a piece of shit who used his influence to get a drunk driver off without being charged. The guy could kill someone in a car accident because of the negligence of the uncle and the police. Not happy that a DUI driver gets to skate. I hope he has learned a lesson, since your parents didn't teach him anything about responsibility. My brother has always learned lessons the hard way. They didn't always stick, but none of them scared him so much he pissed himself. I think I'll stay far away from my car now. Might not stop him from trying to take other things I own in the future though. Your parents should be charged with aiding and abetting grand theft auto since they were more concerned with trying to keep their golden child out of jail or prison. If it ever happens again, I'll aim for something like that. At this point I've made it clear I'll have no problem throwing the book at any of them if they do anything like that again. And my uncle agrees. Sounds like you have a lot more stories to tell about your brother and your parents. They were infuriating just from the story alone. I can't imagine growing up with these people. I'm glad you have your uncle though. Yeah, I've got a lot more stories, but they are mostly just the stereotypes. My parents are the type who played favorites and then denied playing favorites to your face before being called out on it. That would make them put up an act for a while and treat me and my brother more equally, but they always went back to their old selves. When I moved out they stopped bothering to even pretend anymore. So I stopped bothering to treat them like parents. I know their favoritism runs deep, and likely they'll give my brother everything alive or dead. My uncle is pretty much my hero though, has made it clear I'm like the son he never had, and I intend to help take care of him into his old age. Holy crap, I can't believe your parents were so quick to try to throw you under the bus for your brother. I'm glad your brother learned his lesson, but I just don't think your parents will ever be the parents you need or deserve. Thank goodness you have an uncle that cares so much. Their logic was that if the cops thought it was me driving, then it was a simple matter of slipping off the road. They were pretty butthurt that I didn't go along with it. But I don't care. Lol, it'll take more than ditching Dave to kill a Crown Vic. That's a hilarious nickname. Shame his actual name isn't Dave, or he'd totally use that. I love your uncle for all the things he has done for you. You know yourself who you can count on. Stay away from the toxic part of your family. My uncle never got married and says I'm like the son he never had. And I'm glad has always been there for me. Your parents fucking blow. Good on you for getting the F out of there when you hit 18. Yeah, I wasn't gonna deal with their shit any longer. At this point I'm LC with them, save for special events, birthdays and holidays. Beyond that I don't talk to them unless I have to. I like the revenge part, bravo. Yeah, my uncle did great with that one. Your uncle and his friends, and you, might save your brother's life, despite yours parents. I don't know if has made statements like that before, but it sounds like the talk he got in jail hit him pretty hard. Hopefully he realizes his parents can't protect him from everything and shapes up moving forward. I honestly hope that as well. But his entitlement runs deep. At least with this he may think twice about both drinking and driving, and taking someone else's car. He won't be getting a replacement car till his license suspension is over anyway. Cherish your Uncle Iro, sounds like a great guy. If he does this shit again, throw the goddamn book at him. Grand theft auto, destruction of private property, DOI, suspended license, and anything else your uncle and his buddies can throw at him. A few months in jail might finally teach him a lesson. If he does it again, it's been made clear to him the book will be thrown at him. I won't tolerate him or anyone doing this to my car again. Change the keys anyway, he said they are the only copies. Getting a car rekeyed is very expensive because you have to change all the locks and the ignition. I can't afford that right now, but I do plan on getting other safety measures. My uncle has shown me how to switch a couple of wires and the engine won't run until they are switched back. Plus I plan to get one of those steering wheel lockers so my brother couldn't take the car again. Should have gotten one after the first time. So, your brother went from the front of a Crown Vic to the back of another. Oh, that was a laugh I needed.